Today, we're diving into a what-if scenario that is, well, it's genuinely terrifying. And the scariest part, it's all based on some very real and very unforgiving physics. We're going to break down exactly what would happen if our planet just stopped.
Okay, let's just jump right into this, because this right here is the terrifying core of our whole thought experiment today. We're not talking about just stumbling or losing your balance. No, we are talking about being violently launched into oblivion.
So you have to be asking, how could an entire planet of people and things just instantly become projectiles? Well, to get our heads around that, we need to talk about a fundamental law of physics. It's something you experience every single day, whether you even realize it or not.
This whole catastrophe, from the very first second to the last, is governed by one simple, elegant principle: inertia. You probably remember it from school. It's Sir Isaac Newton's first law of motion. Basically, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. In that analogy, it is the perfect way to understand this. The Earth is our giant planetary car, and it suddenly slams on the brakes, hard. But everything on it, the oceans, the atmosphere, buildings, and yeah, we don't have brakes. We just keep going.
So, the moment the Earth stops, the first phase of absolute, total destruction begins. Instantly, there's no warning. This is what we're calling the human projectile phase.
If you're standing at the equator, where the Earth's spin is fastest, you are immediately flung eastward at over 1,000 miles per hour. I mean, that is not a speed the human body is designed to experience, not outside of a jet fighter anyway.
And let's be really clear here. You wouldn't just be moving fast, you'd be moving at supersonic speed. You, and everything else not literally anchored to the planet's core, would become a projectile, launched into whatever's in front of you, a wall, a mountain, another building, with the force of a missile. In a scenario this crazy, your survival depends entirely on one single thing: where you are. Near the equator, it's an instant guaranteed death sentence. But if you were standing at the exact north or south pole, the rotational speed is almost zero. There, you just might withstand that initial violent jolt.
Okay, let's move on to the next layer of horror. Because it's not just solid objects that have inertia. The entire blanket of air surrounding our planet, yep, that keeps moving too. Can you just imagine that for a second? The air itself becomes a planet-scouring weapon. This isn't a storm that builds up over hours or days. It is an instantaneous wall of wind moving at supersonic speeds across the now stationary ground. And to put that into perspective, the most violent tornado we've ever recorded had winds around 253 miles per hour. These global winds would be over 4 times faster. The friction alone from this would be enough to ignite firestorms across the entire planet.
The force would just be unimaginable. It would be enough to literally shear skyscrapers clean off their foundations, scouring the surface of the planet of anything man-made, and honestly most things that are natural too. So just like the air keeps moving, so does the incredible mass of Earth's oceans. We're talking trillions and trillions of tons of water, all of it continuing its eastward momentum. So, you get the picture. Just like the atmosphere, the oceans have inertia. As the planet slams on the brakes, they don't. All that water would just surge eastward, literally sloshing out of its basins to create a global tsunami on a scale that it's just difficult to even comprehend.
We're talking about waves that could be kilometers high. They would wash over entire continents with terrifying ease, rushing across the land that has just been scoured completely flat by those hypercanes we just talked about.
So you'd think the worst is over, right? The surface has been flattened, burned, and now it's completely flooded. But remember, our scenario says the Earth stops for only 1 minute. So what happens when that minute is up? This is what leads to the final, just brutal twist in this 60-second nightmare. See, the Earth doesn't stay stopped. It has to spin back up to speed. And this is the final blow. After everything on the planet was violently thrown east by the stop, the Earth's sudden restart delivers an equally powerful, equally destructive jolt in the exact opposite direction, throwing everything to the west. This is what we're calling the double tap effect. Anything that miraculously survived being thrown east at 1,000 miles per hour is now hit with the exact same force from the opposite direction as the planet lurches back up to its normal speed. So, is survival even possible in this whole mess? Well, in theory, maybe, if you happen to be at the exact rotational axis at one of the poles, or maybe miles deep in a specially designed bunker anchored to the bedrock, you might survive the surface chaos.
But let's be real, it's an incredibly slim chance.
It's a horrifying thought experiment for sure, but it's also a fascinating one. It's really just a stark reminder that we are all passengers on this colossal sphere, hurtling through space, held in place by that simple, powerful, and ultimately life-giving law of inertia. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.